I do remember like Detroit, like break down and testify and all of that stuff. I bet you that was just like, see, I'm from Detroit, so already we got the Beatles banging, we got the MC5 banging, we got whatever's on that channel. We had CKLW, whatever's on that channel, and we had Motown, which is like an array of things. They're like not everybody's not like the regular. You put 5 guys in a suit and they all just kind of stand there and do their thing. We had Temptations was a thing, and Four Tops was a thing, and Stevie Wonder was a thing, and Marvin Gaye was a thing. And for me to also, my I had the fever early, dude. My it's like when I think about it, I don't know for sure, but when I try to think about it, just maybe, when your parents are like arguing with each other. So like my mother will want to like really like get away. I just remember she was just like, "Come on, Michael, let's go." And we end up at the Fox Theater watching every one of those bands, every one of those groups, Willie Tyler and Lester, was a puppet thing that was going on. And then you watch, Mary Wells, and you watched all this stuff. And I just remember watching it all like this, just like.
Sounds like the Apollo or something like that.
Yeah. And then we come out of the whole show's over. I forget who it would be. And it would be like everybody's there waving. You saw the big show. Everybody leave the Fox Theater. My mother would say, "Go to the bathroom." So I go to the restroom. She go to the restroom. Everybody pile out. Sit on the toilet for a minute and wait for the place to replenish with people. And then you ease back into the crowd, and we will watch it. And we would do that 4 days in a row. Like, and it became a thing for us. Like after the first time, it became a thing. Like I never missed a year until they stopped of seeing Motown acts, and it was on Fox Theater stage. And that's how, for me, it's kind of like, okay, this is show business. And, my mother, she was in the military. So she came back and she was doing broadcasting school. And, they're sitting there doing like the paperwork and reading the book. But I'd be sitting at the broadcasting school, actually like fumbling around with the buttons when I was really young. So I had the fever, man. And how did I hook up with George was really just being in that. What I wanted to be was an engineer. Like after the broadcasting thing, I saw that the buttons really was like, if you got any common sense, you could work these buttons. So my thing was to go down to United Sound. I was like wanting to learn engineering. I didn't care who was in the room, And this is when I was about 15, 16, and I used to just ride the bus down to the studio, to the bus that would go into the front, right, it dropped you off right in the front door. So I go there, and I go to the building, and I knew that they would be asking for like tuition and all that kind of stuff. I didn't have that, but I would go and I kind of just And then one day, this guy comes out of the building, like he's coming out to smoke a cigarette, and he goes, "When are you gonna knock on the door?" And I go, "Uh-huh." And he goes, "We watch you through the intercom. We've been laughing, taking bets in the back, and if you're gonna have a knock on the door." And he goes, "I know you I know you got the passion for it, and I know you don't have the money, but I run this place, and I didn't take class. Come on in. That was Jim Vitti. Yeah. So Jim Vitti, after a while, he knew I knew how to shut up and learn. That's if you could shut up and learn and be useful, like coffee. I was a gopher, and after a while, you just kind of learn what the buttons are doing by just laying back and you watching clients. There's different clients, different producers. I don't get to see Jim Vitti, but honestly, Jim Vitti, Greg Ward, those cats, acapella was a bit of a thing because he was dag near my age. So, but the older cast, the older seasoned cast, just like allowed me to come in the room, and you know, by the time I hit like 25, I would have like my friends who were getting ready to get into business. They already like they're like, dude, you've been in that room forever. Like we know, everybody in town knows that you go to that room because that was my refuge from like the streets. Why do people do it? Half of it is survival. Like wherever you go, whatever you do, and you find it, you may not be saying it to yourself, but it's a survival thing. It's just like, what's going to like keep me content and out of the way of ruin,
Yeah.
That's what it was for me. And so George was there, and then George turned out that because I also, like when I was younger, I worked at a hotel and the Parliament came there. So there was this one point where Glenn Goins and Mudbone, they were there. It's like a situation happened and I got to meet them, like really meet them. But I knew already like some of the cats, and I never was putting it all together. But people started to call me Glenn's people. I don't know what. That's Glenn's people. That's Glenn's people. And then after a while, Gary Scheider was just like, Glenn's people. You one of the ones. And it was like, wow, one of the ones. And, basically my job would be like to go and get George some sunflower seeds and eggs and avocados so he could keep his Dr. Funkenstein. And, because everything was like happening. Like I listen to a lot of people when they talk, they're trying to figure out like, in my time, there's always been a roster. The roster was almost like, how you're looking to see who made the grade. It was like that with P-Funk. It's like each year was a different set of musicians. I had the honor of like working with. I missed most. I mean, I miss the ones that are living. I miss the ones that passed away in a big way, but I miss the ones that are living even worse because they became comrades for me, and we all were in this kind of like one nation spirit. And then, we grow away, or we go and we find our way. So everybody's finding their way, but I miss them. I gotta say that. While I'm on your show, I want to say, if any of you out there, and that's, you know who you are. Yeah.
Did you ever see the Mothership show before you got involved with?
I was actually working for George when the Mothership show was going on. Like that was my deal I remember going with the studio staff because we weren't out there. Like I knew musicians that they came in, George put them on tape and they go out. And it was like, oh, is he in the band? Yeah. Oh, this guy's coming up from Memphis. Or this guy works for Philly Soul, or and then this guy's from you know, some rock band and he's gonna overdub a thing. And I had like the best learning from the best engineers and the best, I gotta say that, the very best musical people on the planet, because it was United Sound was something else, man. The people that were coming through there, like, first of all, the HNIC over there, Don Davis, okay, people don't give enough credit to, but this guy, it's basically, I'm working for Funkenstein. I had the honor of working for Funkenstein and working for something that you would consider Sir Nose for real. And he had the very best hits. He was probably the dopest Negro I ever met. George for one reason, Sly for his reason, Dizzy for his reason, everybody for their reason. I met these people, but Don Davis was badass, dude. You ever to Don Davis?
Not really.
Don Davis was the guy who ran or owned. He was the big boss of United Sound. I don't know who was there before him, but he's all I ever knew. And this guy, like, his songs, the kind of songs he would put out was, I remember being in the studio and being excited because the Funkadelic was in the room and watching them do the session, and then this guy comes out the thing and he says, put a tape, like they put a cross over the board so nothing changed from what George was producing. And they stick up their own slab on the tape machine. And he tells the cats, he goes, you guys come back in an hour and we'll be ready to overdub, and we'll have the money, And I watched Funkadelic basically come back and cut all the hip parts on Disco Lady, which is the very first gold record that there was, you know what I mean? Like certified gold record. And but most people don't know that's Funkadelic back there doing their thing. And it wasn't a George Clinton thing. It was the Thangs thing. I mean, it was George Clinton's thing is that this is his pick of the litter. These people that work for him are his pick of the litter. And, he changes his mind. But, some really smart cats knew that George had the stable of stars if you could sneak one away here and there.
Well, I heard Billy played on a lot of stuff. Incredible.
Yeah, he was doing that whole like that. What era of Temptations? He played some real stuff.
Well, Shaky Ground and
yeah, that was that the Masterpiece album.
Yeah,
I mean, Glass House and all that. That's Billy Eddie and all those guys. But that's, what is it, Jeffrey Bourne or no? You know what I mean? Norman Whitfield take those cats and made some great songs with them. Jeffrey Bourne taking some, whoever was the. So But George pulled them in, you know, because that was another thing too. No records. When I look at it, and I don't remember any Parliament or Funkadelic cut in Plainfield, New Jersey. And so that was one of the things that struck me like, this is the Mecca. Even the funky guys had to come here and get it, you know. So I rep Detroit wherever I go. You know, I learned it there. And I'm totally with it.
How did you transition from, you know, being the gopher and doing that other stuff and being the jack of all trades to, you know, getting some musical credits?
I don't know. I think it's just about actually a lot of times I got no credit. You know, it's just like, oh, what about me? You know, but that would be like a few albums in. It was like, you know, oh yeah, we'll remember. You know, we'll remember next time. Because you got somebody. This is not something that's ran by like they were working contracts. You got the names on the contracts and the names they're trying to build. But there was a lot. I watched. I give it to you like this. I watched Return to Exile, Rolling Stones, and there's this one guy, and he's my age, and he said he remember he didn't realize that his dad was the smack dealer. He didn't know that part, or the coke dealer. He didn't know that part, but everything was going on in Keith Richards' house / studio. That to keep the flow, he just at age whatever, like, you know, 10 or 11, you learn to roll joints because that keeps the music and the people motivated. It's that kind of thing. It's like whatever your goodies are, and hopefully, and I got to say, around me, I never like people were like had reputations for doing, but it wasn't wild. Like I keep hearing people going like, you know, it was drugs everywhere, and they were doing drugs everywhere. I think when it got to be drugs everywhere with P-Funk was when it got to too much cocaine in America. Because people came to us like as if this was like some peace offering. There you go, bro. That's for you. And you know, they could have brought the money that they paid for it, but most of them, it was just a chunk off of the thing that they had. And it was some kind of stupid recreation. Man, for me, I think like 78, 79 was like, it felt as if R&B was being targeted with that shit. Like, everybody. Like, I saw like my biggest heroes, like, really? You know, they didn't do that like the year prior.
Oh yeah, they were all doing it. I mean, because I've done over 100 of these shows, you know, with the people that are still with us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just universal back then. I mean,
yeah.
You know.
And so I transitioned kind of like I was a valet. And as you with the group so long, you learn the set from the side of the stage. You learn, you know, like you're preparing like their outfits, and you're preparing their outfits to work and stretch and do whatever, however they're going to coordinate at their rehearsals. You dig what I'm saying? And hear the parts that but makes the chord structure work correctly. And I probably sat through more hits watching the whole process as the gopher, just prepared to like run to the store for you. Okay, I may miss out on that 20 minutes that it took for me to go get you a hamburger, but I have the rest of the day, and this band is in there 24/7. This wasn't This wasn't a 9 to 5 thing. This was, George. Now George was like a 10 to 6 kind of guy. He was a 10 to 6, but then he made sure that the rest of these hours, while he's gone, he had a thing about putting people that almost didn't even agree with each other on any musical level. He didn't really want you all to, you know what I mean? If you all say like, this is our formula and this should be the good way, he's just like, because it's, when I think about it, it is corny. It's that, funk is this way. He likes to smear it with some kind of thing, and that's his P-Funk, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what helped make it beautiful.
Like my version of P-Funk is kind of like on a psychedelic thing. And to get back to your question, it's just about a trust thing with George. He worked a trust thing with me. I remember he sent me out with one of his groups, and it was like, this is when there had been 30 new people all coming. And people were battling. People were posting themselves up to be in this organization.
You're talking about like that wave of maybe like Lige and Cherokee and all those guys that came in with the brides.
Prior to them, because they were actually handpicked. This is prior to all that. This is like people who were going to be, because Parliament, it was going to be Parliament before it was the brides at first. Everything was like an idea, but tracks that were being in there. Like I was a the formulas. There's some cats that have come that are on P-Funk that have just had conviction with their instrument that have nothing to do with the touring band or Parliament-Funkadelic itself, but they got the thing. George Clinton gets the thing. And what I remember being around, and then my deal was like, okay, I got a kind of song or idea in my head because I see these people going all kinds of ways. And so I said to George, I said, well, I got something. He goes, I said, but you haven't heard what I do. He goes, I know what you do. I already know what you do. He goes, I wouldn't have you here if I didn't know what you did. So, but I don't need you to do that. See, all these people, they're after me like crabs in the barrel. This is what he said to me, honestly. He said, they're on me like crabs in the barrel, and they're like clawing each other and bringing each other down. And I feel bad because I want to see what everybody's got. And I need you to help them get to me. And I was like, okay, that doesn't say writer, singer, anything like that. He goes, you could A&R. And then he started introducing me to people like Ron Dunbar. And he used to tell me about what's my guy that was at Motown that, those cats, that was like a thing that he always had. And I listen to some people and they say that they like the 19, they like the guys in the picture. I remember going to Plainfield one time, man, and it was just like guys rolling. They had their legs up and they were rolling in their chairs. And then George was like, oh yeah, that was the original guys, and these guys, like, these aren't the guys on the picture. It was like, finally, I talked to Ray, and Ray was just like, man, George has been like that forever. This band's been all kinds of ways. I just learned to, work with whatever the program is. I think of like George Clinton's version of Parliament-Funkadelic has always been kind of done in a way that like Warhol. You know, he wasn't as nasty. Like, he got a different thing. He's a lovable guy. He wasn't an arrogant guy. Like, but like Warhol's Camp is like a lot of cats with a stroke, whatever your stroke is. You got a thing. You walk in the door with the thing. Okay, I got a concept. Let's see what you got. You know what I mean? And I've learned that you can make great records if you utilize the energy in the room. So being a Parliament-Funkadelic, I'm in the Parliament-Funkadelic thing is kind of what we had back in the day, they had a thing. You're one of the ones. You hear the guy say, no, he's one of the ones. And it wasn't that, oh, he can play real good. It's like he got a thing and he knows this is the place that he needs to be to get that thing off. Some people knew how to come in, get the thing off and go. Roger, even though he did it a little rude, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, I've seen great people come in that room. I've seen people that were, you know, they taught Stevie Wonder and they know how to walk in the session and put that thing down, like whatever it is. And I remember watching the Motown thing, the Funk Brothers, having them cats that was in that thing. I was like, wow, they were the Funk Brothers. I didn't realize that because they were in the room any damn way. They were like at United. Those were Don Davis's boys, you know. You know, they're gonna be arranging. But Don Davis, he did You Don't Have to Be a Star to Be in My Show.
Marilyn McCoo.
Billy all the dramatics. He was the producer. Don Davis made hit records. Cheaper to Keeper. Okay. He probably produced everything that my father, who's from Selma, Alabama, loved.
Catchy soul R&B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the mega ones. And, you know, a cat like that, like he was every bit of like the description of a Sir Nose. Like cool beans all day. If you wanted to be a politician in the town, here's a guy that's prestigious and make the greatest records. You had to know him. That was it, as extreme on one side. Then there was George Clinton, who, if you wanted to be the new thing and let your hair down, we got this guy over here who knows how to smear it atonally, tonally. And they were two different formulas. So I learned with two different formulas in stereo in United.
Yeah. You know? So with George, how much do you think of it was just innate to him with his personality and what he was born with versus what he learned, you know, going through the Motown years and all his experience before P-Funk?
I think he brought it. You know what I mean? You know, like, first of all, if you ain't got it, you ain't really, like, some people have this thing, I want to be a star. Now, George could have played that game, but actually, he don't want to be that. He wants a song. Like, I've seen this guy, he'd write a song. Perfect example. One I know he loves is kind of like Shadows on the Wall. It's a song, and I've seen, or Mathematics. That song's been cut so many times because he's like, and each time was great because it was based on what he said, but it's like, yeah, but So he was that kind of guy. Like if you give him something that's like a cute little package, not to be rude, but if you gave him something like basically the Ohio funk, which is like nice, neat pop package. It's great to kick you in the ass when it hits. It's gonna hit, and it's got a formula, but that formula is to me neat. He would say, cute, you know, and because I like that, you know, I dug Daz Band and all this. I thought all that stuff was really, really good. But for him, it'd be like it's too. It's the same like the French guys. It's like I don't feel pain. So
yeah, well, that's a genius right there. I mean,
yeah. And then man, I just like producers, and I like anybody doing their thing. So I'm my influence is they don't influence me, they astonish me. And I like that. I'm glad to say I have a career where I get to sit around and see people in their thing, and I can't hate because if it was my spot, and when it's my spot, I'll get it, or maybe it wasn't right for me. So I take what I get, and what I get is coming from the north end of Detroit and being able to go all around the world and meet great musicians, eat great food, make new friends based on just my love for people and music. And Parliament-Funkadelic gives that to me. So
when did you first get on stage with the band? When did they first allow you to be part of the show?
The end of 77.
So that early?
Yeah. But it wasn't a place for me because I didn't have nothing. I didn't really have nothing. And what I ended up doing was valeting for the brides who had it all, you know, and they at that time the brides were like just a team, you know, they were like it was just the girls, and like the people that I miss people like Tyrone Lampkin, like that was my first roommate on the road, and oh man.
Well, he and Glenn, I mean, especially went young. Did you hear me?
You said especially what?
I said Tyrone and Glenn especially went young.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from Detroit, and people die for no reason. Some people die for, you know, and that's, you know, we all gonna die. But yeah, I try to like keep that out of my mind and just like keep the fact that
Well, in the 90s, though,
that's the thing. I'm gonna tell you something. That's the thing now. People ask me this silly question. It's not even a silly question, but I think silly questions are great questions. Everybody asks a silly question. Silly question is like, do you have any advice for me? And I'm a new musician and I go, you better mean it. And if you don't mean it, either just get out now, you know, really get out. Because how about, I always say to people like, you get in it, that part is easy. Staying in it, there's the job. And how about maintaining it because you're in demand? Don't mess around and get a damn hit that everybody's gonna know you for that hit. Now you're married to a fan base that's probably not even born yet, but they're gonna be knowing you as that song. And are you ready to wake up every day and be that? And if you're not ready for that shit, then drop out and be a regular musician, you know, go run around and play where you can play. I mean, I would. George's job, I look at it on the daily. It's like, how do you do that, dude? For real. How do you do that, and why do you do that? Why do you make yourself ready for these people every single day of your life? You got to be, at one point there was just like, dude, just take the hair off. Take the hair off. But it wasn't that he wanted the hair, but the industry needed him to have rating points at some point. And so they don't actually remember a guy for his music unless they see him in the thing. So now the 80s had him put on the hair. I remember in the 70s when he just, the hair was a concept, but the hair was on hair racks. He could grab anyone. Now he's got blonde hair, and he could, when the show was over, he would just toss the thing.
He could be incognito, yeah.
And walk out the place with the audience. Right in the audience. Like nobody knew who they'd just been looking at. Walk right through. And the first time I saw Funkadelic, that was the beautiful part, was that this guy who had been sitting there in like a cool ass suit slithered up after this band had played this one groove forever. Oh, another thing that I dug, because I knew I wasn't crazy, and to see Ron Bykowski standing there, I was like, it's confirmed. Okay, it's a Zebra band, and that's why we rock and roll. That was beautiful for me. It was like, just to have him there was like, I've been a Ron Bykowski fan from the very top. Like, I had to learn who Eddie was. That's how bad I am. I had to learn who Eddie was. And Eddie had a prettier voice than everybody. He had to out-sing everybody, and he could outplay everybody in his way. But the kind of stuff that I feedback, Cosmic Slap, I saw him hold that like at Kobo, and I was just like, that guy's like kneeling at his amp. Wow, that's so cool. And he's a long-haired guy, and he looks like Kiss, but there was no Kiss yet. And he looks like that, you know what I mean? I was like,
I never got to see him. I came in when Hampton first started rising, and so he was my favorite guitar player.
Right.
Yeah,
I like Mike. Me and Michael the same age, and I like what Mike does on the metal thing. I like what Mike, he's that guy. But Gary Scheider is hands down for me. The tastiest. Don't know very many notes. That blues guy that really got the thing. Like, people say Glenn could sing better than everybody. Glenn was no Gary Scheider. I'm sorry, I'll argue with all of them on that one. It wasn't no Gary Scheider. Garrett is good, but Garrett's no Gary Scheider.
Well, yeah.
And he got little brothers that are pretty close to a Gary Scheider, but they're not a Gary Scheider when it comes to, like, I watch, like, on the creative tip, that was the most enthusiastic character I knew when it comes to making records. And he could make any piece of shit track work because he had a magic. And it wasn't that he came with it. He just knew how to bring it, make everybody bring it. Like if he heard a tone that he needed to work, he would grab you. Like, he didn't know you. He could hear you talking, and he'd say, come over here and sing this. And you say, oh, I'm not singing. Say, you can do it. Do it right there. Because by the time he puts you there, he's going to put something around it that even makes you, like, the person that's getting me today, and I'm saying it on your show, and so my kid's going to beat my ass if he sees this. Jacob Collier. You hear the Jacob Collier?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody look up Jacob Collier. He has a voice that almost a delivery that feels like Mel Torme, kind of Mel sounds like Mel Torme, but the amount of music in his system, dude. Gary Scheider was like that. They're like off the grid for like they can make music out of anything. George Clinton is that because he doesn't come with the rules. That's what makes George great. Like I've seen him like lean on the flat note like it's the greatest thing. And you go, ah! But when he goes voila, that flat note is the most important note in the thing. You dig what I'm saying? That it's kind of like you listen to P-Funk, there's a lot of tonal things going on that most people will say, let's stop, we didn't do it correctly. And then he's more into like, no, because that's the thing. He's always making a thing. So slides like that too. You know, they made things. I had the honor of like being in his area and being in George's area and being in everybody that I respect. As a child, I've been kind of like in the area. And that P-Funk's brought that to me. So.